Good morning, everybody. I'm Eric, N1JUR, and I'm hanging out with my co-host.
I'm Shannon, KC1OHT here in the US, or 2 Echo Zero Oscar Hotel Tango in the UK.
And we got a good friend on today.
Mike, N2MAK. I'm just here to audit the live stream.
Thank you.
I'll be sitting in the back of the class quietly.
Best behavior. All right. Well, you heard it here first. We're apparently being audited for what? I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll figure that out in the end when we get the review back.
You know how you could audit classes in college?
Oh, that type of auditing. Okay, yeah, I was thinking more like IRS auditing or what am I doing wrong?
It's still early. We're still processing the caffeine, but
exactly.
Not that kind of audit.
Excellent. Well, then welcome, Mike. We enjoy you here hanging out. Please feel free to ask any questions along the way. Okay. How's that? Good lead in. Make you feel comfortable. Welcome. Okay, well, hey, if you guys are watching live, say hello in the chat. I know we always have a crew that is slow as they're warming up their coffees and getting ready to sit in their favorite Barco Lounger or in front of their monitor this morning. But with that, let us know where you're tuning in from. Say hello. And then maybe, hey, if this is your first time, well, guess what? You're officially part of the Brew Crew today. So with that, we're going to kind of get into a whole lot of cool stuff today, but this show, we're kind of keeping it light because there's a lot of stuff, at least for me, going on today. So timing-wise, I didn't really get a chance to kind of formulate a good topic, although I'm looking forward to next week's show that we'll maybe touch upon a little later because we've got another special guest coming on. But with that, maybe you're new to Brew and Activate, so let's let you know what we are all about here. We love to talk about POTA, soda, tiles, everything portable operations, the wins, the slow days, the weird stuff, and maybe the lessons you just kind of learn only by doing the stuff. So, again, if you're a hunter, you're an activator, or you're just POTA curious, well, heck, you guys are in the right place. So, what are we this morning? Who we got in the chat a little bit there, Shannon? Anybody want to do a little quick...
We have, Jabberjaws, K1LY, love you. We got Kyle, NN9Z. We got November 1, Oscar Grouch. I got my Lily Go right here next to me. We got K8KAZ. I definitely saw him at Hamvention, a whole bunch. Roger McKeon, of course, and Mike N2MAK, who's in the chat, and he's right there.
Auditing.
He's auditing.
Don't mind me.
He's auditing the chat and the stream.
Exactly. Wow, he is a multitasker, my friend. I can only do one thing at a time, and I do that the worst. All right, so before we get rolling, I always like to throw this out here. We always like to try to keep this stream ad-free just so we can kind of hang out, talk radio, and not break things up mid-rolls because we all know how much we hate the YouTube ads. Again, I always like to set a goal, so it's simple. $10 every episode helps me cover keeping that ads off. So, hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream and you want to keep it that way, well, super chats are always appreciated. Again, no pressure. It's just, genuinely helps the show and keeps us going. But with that, we've got a lot to kind of get into today. I think we've got two people here that obviously have been part of the great adventure we call Hamcation. So, or Hamvention, sorry, my mistake, flip that one. And we're going to get into a lot of those questions, but today is also an AMA, I don't know, we'll call stream here. So if you guys got a bunch of questions you want to throw at us, you can head over to obviously the chat there. And if you want, you can always throw a format here. So if you got a question, just throw a Q colon in there, and just so Shannon can pick it up and tag it, and we'll answer that along the way. And once we do that, feel free to throw any questions at us, POTA related, radio related, whatever. We're all game. And that includes Mike. So, if you've got questions for Mike too as well, please, throw those in the chat. And we only have one other thing we're going to kind of talk about today for this upcoming weekend that the Tiles program is going to be doing called Honor and Activate, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So with that, Shannon, the show, you're the center, front and center. How are you doing? What's been going on? Let's not talk ham stuff yet, but what's going on today?
What's going on today? Well, it's Friday. Miles is off school today because his school decides to have Friday and Monday off for
Yeah.
Memorial Day. So, I was able to sleep in. That's great, except for the fact that then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I have Brew and Activate today.
We all do that. Thank you. I just did that
you
too as
know,
well.
had to run and make the ever important dunks run. And stay tuned for later in the show where I will be showing pictures of all the selfies that I took at the various Dunkin' Donuts around, on my way to Hamvention and back and in the Ohio area. I love the new Dunks designs that they have, like, Beaver Creek runs on Dunkin'. I can't resist the chance to take a picture in front of one of those little things.
Of course. That
It's
one
like
is a keeper.
it's like a great memory of every Dunks you've ever visited.
It's like visiting all of those, like, United States, the world's largest frying pan, Noah's Ark,
Yeah,
that kind of
like
stuff. Yeah.
the roadside attractions.
And that's
So
exactly it. Yes.
so yeah, so went over to Dunkin' Donuts, got my coffee, got my sausage, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel. Miles got his frozen chocolate and his strawberry frosted donut. So you now know our typical, you know, Dunkin' Donuts order. If you ever want to order me a coffee, it's a large iced with 4 milk and 4 sweet and low. And not sponsored. And so I asked Miles earlier because it's like not too hot out now that I said, after Brew and Activate, you want to maybe go out and do a POTA.
Mm.
So, be maybe looking for us on the air later, doing POTA, maybe tiles and POTA combined.
Well, you could just do a POTA and, your grid square is already in your log. So you just submit to tiles anyway. So
I know,
yeah.
but aren't you supposed to spot yourself on tiles
You don't have to.
first?
You don't have to. You can combine basically both. I've done it before. So I'm encouraging people to call tiles because I think that's like just what POTA kind of started as. Remember, everyone was like, "What's this POTA?" And then now you can't spin the dial without hearing a POTA station. So just trying to get the awareness out. But yeah, you can do
Yeah,
both.
like if we don't spot on tiles or like call out tiles on the air, how's anybody going to know about it? And like so many people were, they were kind of asking me about tiles on the air, like what it was, especially when I was at the Troll Pub. The people that I was sitting with, Evan and Matt and Emily, a different Emily, not the Emily that I just met on the Mesh Network. And then someone else that I was sitting with that I apologize. I can't remember who you were. You meet so many people at Hamvention that, especially if you've only met them for the first time. I tell people I have to meet you at least 3 times for me to actually remember your face and your name and your call sign. So I apologize if I met you and I don't remember who you were, but I have this thing where I just can't remember people.
I don't know. You
I
ever
would
that
be
problem, Mike?
I always say, like, I would be the worst witness for, like, a crime because the police would ask me to describe the suspect, and I would be like, "I don't know."
You're used to seeing some people in the chat, like, you see their avatar or their icon and their username, and and it might be completely different, or than their call sign or their name or something else like that. You get used to associating people with different things depending on how often you interact with them and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like, with their username
yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah.
right? Like, before I started putting my name and my call signs and everything in my username, people just knew me as Socks Girl.
Oh, I have never known you as Socks Girl. That was probably, I was always like, she's just Shannon. Does Shannon do ham radio?
Why is she even in this Discord?
I didn't even know you in Discord. Like I think about our first interaction was when we were at 24-hour POTA.
Yeah.
So,
That's where I
tells you.
became part of the family.
You made an impression. Apparently now you are the 4th member of the Liffrian Ham. Everyone refers to Shannon as the Liffrian Ham, but
And
I don't know
you
how she did
guys
that.
haven't been able to get rid of me since.
Never. We are the Hotel California, as they say. So very cool. Good on that.
Kyle.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. I did not see that. So yeah, Mike, what's been going on with you, man? Obviously, you got back from hamvention there, and so settling back in. How's things with you?
Yeah, I'll address Paul's question. Yeah, my liver has recovered after it. No, it's all good. I'm taking. I took today off because like Shannon, my kids don't have school. They got an extra long weekend, and I need an extra long weekend just to kind of get caught up on stuff. It's been a busy month for work for me, with lots of travel, and then like you factor that in with taking time off for hamvention. It's not even just being on the road. It's like I think we all know if we were to take when you take time off from work, that's not like a typical holiday. Like if I take time off around Christmas or Thanksgiving, nothing's going on. I'm not missing out, and it's like when I went back to work this week, it was like, just digging out from a whole bunch of stuff, and you finally, you get close to getting caught up. But I got so much stuff to do around the house, being gone for as long as I've been, between work travel and hamvention, that I'm just going to be doing stuff. And when I saw, I was like, wait, I'm off today. Let me invite myself on the live stream.
I was like, I don't want to do work.
I really like being with you guys, but this is just like an opportunity to procrastinate from starting to do, the lawn and everything else that needs to be done.
Oh, we're glad we can help, Mike. We appreciate that.
No, it's all good. I had a blast at the show, and looking forward to. I try to get as much done around the house, like the next maybe two days or so, and then maybe Sunday or Monday, I got to take a day and just dedicate that to just ham radio projects, unpacking and playing with a lot of the stuff that I picked up and whatnot. But yeah, it's all good.
Nice. Very cool. Well, I think today, like Shannon, I'm in that same boat. Like I woke up this morning kind of like, okay, I've got 5 things I got to do. And then I realized as I'm making my coffee with, my coffee cup here that, I have Brew Activate at 10. I was just like, oh yeah, I got to remember to go do that, because at the same time, I'm actually going to get out because today's actually going to be okay of a day. I think it's not going to be so super sunny and not hot. So Tortoise has my ATAS down at his house, and he was looking at it for me. So he's packing up and heading west. And with that, I think I need to get my antenna back before it goes west. And so I heading down there, and what better excuse than to go do a POTA with him. So yeah, we'll be on the air too as well. So
cool.
Keep the ham alert alive, and we'll be out there activating. I can't remember what park he said. Some of the Fall River, maybe. Fall River's got a couple of parks down there. So
Fall River, way down there.
He's in Rehoboth, so that'll give you an idea of how far I'm going to get my antenna back.
I was thinking like maybe we might do like Great Brook Farm State Park, just because.
Oh, you're coming back up this way. So
yeah, exactly. I'm going apparently the opposite.
You're literally going the opposite direction, which it makes sense in traffic flow, but he lives where he lives. I can't change that. Shannon, I don't know what time. Obviously, whatever we wrap up here, I've got all my bag and antenna gear and everything all packed. So I just have to say goodbye to the dog and jump in the truck and head south. So I'll let folks know on the Discord a little bit earlier there. Oh, I still have my All-Star up here. Hold on a sec. Turn that down. So with that, we'll see how all that plays out, because I'm sure Tortoise and I will be shooting the breeze and maybe get lunch before that or after that. I don't know. All works out good either way, and I get to send them off and say, have fun going west and get my antenna back. Okay. Well, with that, we've got a couple of things. Obviously, heck, if you like to be part of this community and want to hang out, you can always check us out a couple different ways. If you can't make this stream, which is always a challenge for some because it is a jobby job work day, you can always pick us up on any of your favorite podcast players. So make sure you check us out there. Link is in the description. And if you have your own podcast player, that you choose, give us a search for Brew Activate. We're in that list. Love to hear. We've actually heard a couple folks saying they're having some issues with the stream and the audio files. So appreciate all that feedback and always interested to obviously give you guys the content you want, but in a better way. So, thank you again for all that. And with that, head on over to our Discord. I think let me post the Discord link here real quick. If you haven't jumped in our Discord yet, obviously you can do that. There's a link there. Love to have you. We always continue the chats there after the show and throughout the rest of the week. And as Shannon alluded to, there's always something interesting going on, whether it's Meshtastic related or, ham radio related or POTA or tiles or anything like that. So yeah, come hang out with us. Love to have you guys there. And with that, I think we're going to jump to the POTA Minute. Okay. I did see a question in there, and you're probably tagging those, right, Shannon?
I am.
Oh, Mike, on the ball. Thank you. Shannon's got chat. Mike's got questions. Excellent. This is a team. All right. So this is the POTA Minute. This is where we love to take 60 seconds, talk about one small POTA idea, real world observation, or just stuff to kind of get you thinking. No right answer here, just stuff you start noticing after a few activations or a few hundred hunts. Heck, if this has happened to you, say so in the chat. Let us know. If you do it differently, then definitely let us know. And so with today's POTA Minute, and I'm on the ball this time, Shannon. I have the right cue, and my notes are all updated, so we're cooking with gas.
Excellent.
I figured.
Could you have chosen an any more like old person? Now we're cooking with gas.
51. What do I have to do? I'm not cool anymore. Just get over it. I'm in ham radio. I'm definitely not cool. So.
Gee willikers, Eric.
Oh my gosh, boy. Well, whatever. I can't even remember half the phrase.
Dolly.
I am a Gen X. Get over yourself. All right. With that, we're going to talk about phonetics at work. A funny story. This is if those that might have tuned in earlier this week, I did a Tiles activation live stream lunch. Which was kind of interesting. The bands were garbage. And, the nice part about the Tiles program is you only need one contact, which circles me back around on the point of you could have done a Tiles activation and hamvention there, Shannon. All you needed was one contact. And you could have yelled to the ham across from you. That was still a little bit sort of RF. But with that, phonetics that work. Fancy phonetics sound cool until they don't get copied. And I was privy to that, obviously, when I did that live stream. There's a couple of stations that were struggling to hear my calls, and I was using a couple of variances, that weren't part of the standard phonetics. Try to stick to standards. They work everywhere. Everybody knows them. Sometimes you might have to do a little bit to be able to get through that little extra second or two. But when you start to get crazy, like, I'm November 1, just use radio, it doesn't always fly well. People don't always get that, and they can't always translate, especially when you're on HF. So it isn't the time, especially when you're trying to get your call across to get in the log, to get creative. So just leaving that there, letting you guys kind of sit on that a bit. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. Let me know in the chat.
I have to say, yes, using standard phonetics are important, right? But we have to remember that there are also international alternate phonetics. Like when you hear the European stations sometimes say Japan, Norway, Tokyo, whatever. If you have your little QRP, whatever it is, mat that has all that information on there, which I don't have.
I don't know.
Really?
Sounds like a missed opportunity.
Were you not the one that was yelling at me for not having one of those QRP labs mats or whoever it is makes it? Oh, somebody was yelling at me for not having one.
Wow, I get blamed for everything.
That's the way this show works. You haven't figured that out yet?
Yeah.
So, so there are actual approved alternate phonetics like Ocean or Norway, Japan, Tokyo, trying to think of what some other ones are, America for A. So there is that. And then sometimes those alternate phonetics help me remember people's call signs. Mine is KC1 OHT only handy talkies, even though I don't only use handy talkies. So it doesn't really fit in that sense. But HT, handy talkie, it's a good alternate phonetic.
Yeah, there's got to be a way we can do the KC, as in can't challenged only handy talkies. I don't know.
That was
Mike workshop that one.
and can't does not start with a K either. So what?
Yep, it doesn't. But
Hooked on phonics. Eric.
Grammarly's my friend. Stop making fun of her. Any comments, Mike?
Yeah, I know, like, from an activator standpoint, when I hear somebody using non-phonetics, it breaks my brain. Like, it kind of stops the rhythm. Like, when I hear it and I call it out, like, you get in that rhythm as an activator. If you got pileups, this, that, and you're going along. But, like, the minute that happens, it kind of, like, it just, like, snaps me out of that rhythm and everything. But I don't mind it. It's not the end of the world and stuff. Doing as much QRP as I do, there's often times where, for some reason, the A in my call sign, that the alpha gets mistaken for delta, and people will be like, Mike Delta Kilo, and it's like, no, Mike America Kilo and stuff, and that usually works fine. Ironically, my very first contact on HF, the guy was not using, I think he was just having fun. He was doing the Oklahoma QSO party. And I'll never forget it because, like, he used just, if you're going to use non-phonetics, like, this was just the shit. For lack of a better term. His call sign was Witch Doctor 5 Charlie Sugar King.
Oh, God.
And, like, you do not forget that. Like, the fact that it was Witch Doctor 5, I'm like, that is awesome.
Nevertheless, it works well, but then you go to translate it and you're like,
Yeah.
Which is what? W? Oh, yeah, W.
I'd only been a ham for like a couple months. I mean, it was all new to me, but like that just stuck. The fact that guy is calling out Witch Doctor 5, Charlie Sugar King. Like, I was like,
live
awesome.
on WKRP.
Yeah. But, and I did get him, he hunted me during a POTA. Sometime like within the first year or two. And so when I called back to, I heard him in the pile up and he wasn't using that, but I went back and I'm like, okay, Witch Doctor 5, Charlie Sugar King. I got you 5'9". By the way, you were my first HF contact. And like, we had like a quick little QSO. It was neat, to get him hunting me, and stuff. But yeah, it's certainly easier on activators, I think, when you use standard phonetics. That said, you're having trouble breaking through a pileup, especially if you're QRP sometimes. If people are having trouble copying, you got to be able to use some alternative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not, going to say the same thing. Like my U and my call is always like trips people up. It's like uniform, Ulysses, like it never really triggers with people. It always ends up becoming a C or some other a D. So yeah, it is tough, especially when your voice is deep and you're trying to punch through and you just got to slow it down. All good, cool. All right, well, let's put this one to rest here. So yeah, hopefully, actually, were there a few in the chat there? I did see a few comments, folks mentioned there. Shannon, do we want to bring those to light?
I know Brocam agrees with me.
Yeah, does he? Okay.
Yeah, it's like stuns you for a second. Like it just takes you out of that rhythm. I don't know how else to say it.
However, that is a tactic, right? Like, as you got your attention.
Yep. Yeah, sugar's like the worst offender. Like I think that's like the most common, one of the most common ones. When I hear sugar in a call sign, it's just like, oh my gosh, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a local ham who's KA1 MSV and he's always Mike Sugar Victor.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I always remember him. He's Dave. He's awesome. Actually, so he always does a speech at the Veterans Day memorial. And it's funny because the first time I ever met him in person, I had only heard him on the PokeNet. And then he's given the speech and I'm like, I recognize that voice. I'm like, is that Dave from the PokeNet? So then I went over and talked to him and I was like, hey, this is going to sound kind of weird, but are you a ham radio operator? And it was him. So that was pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. Kilowatt is definitely one there, Dave, that gets me too as well. And it's always like, I want to put a C for some reason. I don't know why. my brain just doesn't register. It's a K
Well,
every time.
I think that kilowatt was like the old standard phonetic, right? Because the phonetics do change over time. There's a great YouTube video about how phonetics have changed over time. So I think it used to be kilowatt, but then like maybe it was during World War II or the Korean War, something like that. They changed the phonetics and they shortened it just to kilo.
Hmm. All right, I didn't know that. Not that I ever hear anybody say kilo a lot of times, but sometimes it's more kilowatt. But sounds wonderful, interesting. Well, hopefully that sits okay with you guys there. We always are trying to get you thinking here, and so let's pop back to our main view here. So we've got a couple of things, obviously, that we're going to talk about today before we get into the general Q&A. So hopefully Mike has got a bunch of questions queued up there. So we'll get to those in a second. Sweet. We'll get to those in a couple of seconds. And just remember, guys, this is to keep this show ad-free. Again, just trying to target our Super Chat goal, $10. No pressure at all. Again, if you enjoy the stream and you want to help keep it clean, well, Super Chats definitely help go a long way with that. All right.
If you want me to show a slideshow of my adventures in Hamvention, drop a $5 super chat. If you want to stop me from showing a slideshow of my adventures in Hamvention, send a $10 super chat.
Yes, however, depending on if you're in her camera roll and there's a risky photo, then yes, you might want to throw towards the super chats. Just saying.
But, so I thought of something. So when you were talking about, doing the tiles on the air and only having to get one contact and all that. So that actually made me think about, and it's very timely having Mike on the show here. For those of you who are members of the Live Free and Ham Discord and are maybe following the 5-2 Simplex Challenge channel on there. So I had some very memorable and meaningful QSOs on 14652 as I was driving back and forth from Dayton and driving back and forth from the show itself. And Mike, I don't know if you also experienced calling out on 5-2 during those times, but so just to give like a couple examples, one morning, it was actually Sunday morning, I was driving into Hamvention and I called out on 14652 and the station comes back to me. It was November Alpha 1 Lima. And I was, talking to him and he said, oh yeah, by the way, I'm from Connecticut. I drove out. Did you also drive out? And I was like, oh yeah, I drove out too. So, we were from the same area. We both drove out to Hamvention, and then I ended up meeting up with him and having an eyeball QSO in the middle there where all the flags were. So we exchanged, cards and stickers and stuff. And I invited him to the Adventures in Wonderland Discord, which he joined because he was a Discord user. So that was very cool. So that was, that was like very cool, right? Because I probably wouldn't have met up with this person if I didn't call out on 14652. And then, so the first day, Paul got me on 14652 while I was driving in. I think that was on Thursday, actually. And I was maybe driving to the hotel, and then I ended up going over to the 4 days in May vendor event because everybody was going over there. So, I wanted to be one of the cool kids and go over to that event. So, those were a couple meaningful QSOs. And then also when I was driving home on, what was it, Monday. So I left Dayton at 11 o'clock in the morning and, I was driving straight through to get home. I didn't get home until about 1:45 in the morning on Tuesday morning. But when I was somewhere in New York, it was dark out by that point. I looked in my rearview mirror and I see this car with a long antenna on it. And I'm like, okay, this has to be a ham radio operator, right? So I end up calling out on 14652 and then the station ended up coming back to me, right? So he was like, oh yeah, KC10HT, good thing I have your license plate right in front of me because I wouldn't have remembered your call sign otherwise. So I ended up chatting with him for a little bit. So he was also from Connecticut and he had also driven out and he was on his way home from Hamvention. That was Kilo 1 Sierra Echo India. So, those are just two examples. And I had at least like probably 5 different contacts. There was a YL that was Kilo Oscar 8 Yankee Echo Papa. I think I talked to her maybe on Saturday, one of those days. So that's just more reason, right, that we should be calling out on 14652 more often, I think, whether we're mobile driving in our cars or if, we're at events, having our handy talkies with us tuned to that calling frequency. And, don't just call out once, but, call out like every 10 minutes or something. Somebody had said to me in one of the chats that they had some activity near Dayton, but then the further away they got, it got more sporadic. And I think it was Michael, Whiskey Delta Zero Oscar Mike, and I was like, well, did you call out every 10 minutes? And he was like, no. And I'm like, well, you have to, right? Because people could be scanning, you're going in and out of range with other people. So
Yeah.
you gotta make your call long enough too that it
Mhm.
actually, if they're scanning, it actually stops their scan, on your on
Everything you do in HF, all of the POTA stuff that we trained ourselves to do when we call CQ, same thing applies on 5.2.
And turning down your squelch too, because I did notice that, like, some signals were definitely weaker when I was, even around Dayton and stuff. When I turned down my squelch, I could hear some people in there that were a little weaker, that they weren't breaking the squelch. So, like, yeah, it's a little annoying to hear that static in the background all the time, but, it let those weaker signals come through.
Very cool.
And thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. And congratulations to the people who got one: Bricker House, Kyle, KE4FJV, Bearded Samoan, November 8, Papa Hotel Victor.
Yep. And thank you to Grouch for being 4 months as a member. So appreciate that. And thanks for being part. And you guys, if you are members, feel free. There's the shout outs that you guys can use as part of being a member of N1JUR over there and Brew Activate. So yeah, definitely hit those up. Let us know. Always interested to see who's been hanging around and how long, and being part of a great community. So thank you.
Yeah, and I got to share like my experience on 5.2 on the way out and back. Of all people, I didn't call out a lot. I was riding with somebody, and it was his first convention, so we were talking a lot on the way out and back. But we still, both of us took turns, like calling out, and all it took was one call each time, and you had somebody coming back. But when we weren't talking, I think there was maybe like one QSO that we heard on the way out and one on the way back. And I share this because this comes down to, like, what I like to say, and what Paul's saying in the chat, like, you need to make noise. If there's ever a place where there is that critical ham density where you can call out and get somebody right away, easily, even if you're just on an HT in your car, like, you can make that happen on the way out there because of all the people traveling. But it just kind of goes to show all these people are listening, but there are not enough calling. And so that's the role that we need to fill, make that noise, get on there, and stuff, because there are a lot of people monitoring, but that's only half of it. You need somebody to call out and make some noise, if you want to get that QSO going. And then I know I'm not the only one. Like, you hear people talking on 5.2, and it's like that reminder, like, oh, I need to get on. I need to call out, and stuff. So,
And Shannon, KC1LY had mentioned that they do it, and it's almost become a habit that they just after their activation, they call on 5.2 and they call CQ.
Yep.
I think that's a good muscle memory thing to develop, because guys, we're getting into summertime, and that usually means 6 meters starts to get long path, and 5.2 starts to get into the VHF UHF weekends, and they're always looking for contacts. So get used to it, and you're already doing it, and then therefore that just makes the experience that much better for when the contesting weekends roll through. for VHF and UHF, and that just gets you more excited. They get more excited, and then you just kind of build this cool momentum.
Yep.
So, yeah, very cool, guys. Yeah, as we all keep saying, guys, it's not a repeater. Simplex is not a repeater, so don't expect that your call to reach everybody, because it's not going to. You got to be the one to make the noise. Keep making RF weird. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, and I gotta echo to the comment that Shannon made about APRS, and like this is the first time I've been out there where I had an APRS radio, and I had that on the B band in the car, and when you get out there, like it's constantly it's constantly going.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like there's just so many hams out there, and so many running APRS and stuff. Like it just is nonstop. So
yeah, it's funny how
it was neat to experience that. So
did you guys find when APRs kind of, as you got farther away from Hamvention, that APRs started getting less and less and less?
Oh yeah. No, I looked at it because I've only had this radio in my car for a few months, and so like I'm looking as an opportunity to learn and use it on the road, but also kind of experience and see what it's like with APRS and on a big road trip, let alone one going somewhere where there's going to be so many hams and everything. It was neat to see that, and totally like it died out, as he got further and further away.
Yeah. How about you, Shannon?
Yeah. Definitely. I always have APRS on the VFOB on the FTM 500. So I'm always, getting signals in and beaconing out signals. And yeah, when you were like very close to Hamvention, it was constantly going off. And I think I saw some people's beacons that I recognized. And I think same thing. Someone said to me on 5.2 that they saw my APRS beacon, when I was driving. So that's kind of like how they knew I was there. And I see people talking about mesh. We're going to get to mesh in a few minutes. We're never going to get to the Q&As because we're just going to keep talking about.
I don't know. We'll eventually get to them. I promise.
So
we just have one on POTA, and then there's one on tiles. So
yeah, so the APRS beacons. And then like I was telling people, right, because I was sharing my drive on Waze, so that people knew where I was, so they knew I wasn't crashed and dead or anything like that, because a number of people were concerned that I was driving.
The non-hams?
Yes, my non-ham family that was, very concerned for me driving out to Dayton, Ohio by myself, just with Miles, and driving through the night. I shared my drive on Waze, but then I did also tell people, oh, follow me on aprs.fi. But the thing is that I stopped for gas at one point. I can't remember if it was in New York or Pennsylvania, somewhere around there, when I was on my way out. And there was apparently no eye gates, so my car was parked at this gas station for hours and hours until it finally got picked up somewhere else and my beacon moved. So that is the one problem, right? You get into sort of these like very rural areas, because when I drove out, I took like, it was 84 to 80 to 70 something. It was like through the Poconos Mountains. So it was sort of like the way that had less toll booths. And then same thing when I came home, it actually took me a very different way. It took me through West Virginia, which I saw like driving across the Ohio River or whatever it was, going over this bridge. And all of a sudden I see this sign that says West Virginia welcomes you. And I'm like, what way is this GPS taking me? But I think it was trying to route me around some traffic, and then also like trying to avoid the tolls, right? Because if you take I-90, it's, I don't know, $40 in tolls each way or something like that. It's crazy. Like, I'm not paying that.
So, any of you guys catch Smart Jason's video on VAR HF and APRS?
It's in my queue.
My
queue. But I've read in the APRS groups about VARA and stuff, and Jason and I talked briefly about it at the Troll Pub. So
it solves exactly what Shannon's basically saying, is like you set it up on 30 and 40 meters, and you've got a pretty much almost accurate GPS kind of APRS tracking. And so I was pretty impressed with it. So those of you guys who didn't get a chance, I threw it in the chat there. That's Smart Jason, Cam4ACK's video there. So if you haven't checked that out, go take a look at it. It's pretty cool. Small little device.
I've done 30-meter APRS on packet,
Mhm.
but I have not done it on the Vara yet because Windows.
Yep. Well, but
So,
the nice part about
but
the
yeah.
solve on that is that he solved that problem and
Yeah.
made it pretty easy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sinking some money into as I get farther down the rabbit hole with that one.
Mhm.
It's one more thing in the truck. Cool. All right. Well, with that, again, guys, we always like to keep this stream ad free. So, again, we're trying to hit that super chat goal of $10 to keep this episode ad free. So if you want to help cover that, obviously the super chats are much appreciated. And with that, so let's kind of, I get one thing to clarify here because Shannon, you've done it twice already and it's already just, getting in my ear and aggravating me. Is this Dayton or Dayton?
I don't know.
You said it like DATE-in, like Dayton, as I'm going on a date, or is it Dayton? I see the Lynn kind of, Bostonian kind of sliding in there, so I just want to, get clarification. I don't want to confuse our, listeners.
I mean, do I need to speak more properly? And it's a date.
Oh, I don't know. You changed tone, so I just want to make sure, which one is it? Do the people that are in on the Dayton and know are Dayton? How is it? How do you pronounce it, Mike?
I say Dayton.
Okay, so there you go. So he's got the A in there. He draws it out.
Dayton, right? Like Dayton.
No, see, you're seeing date, DATEIN. He's A. He's got the A, Dayton.
Oh no, I'm not. It's Dayton.
Is he
Dayton.
Canadian? Dayton.
Sounded there. See, there's that again. This is what I'm. Thank you, Grouch. I appreciate the show all the ads. only for you, and they'll all be about you. So I appreciate it. And actually, since he's in the chat and I totally escaped this. Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to head over his channel, you got to see what he's got in his grubby little paws. Did you guys get a chance to see it?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about his gift that he got at the Troll Pub?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I haven't seen that one yet. I got a couple of videos in the queue.
Man, you got a lot of watching. You aren't going to get anything done this weekend, Mike. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So yes, he's one of only one radio that I know of, at least in green, that has been bedazzled. So I got watching his video, watching his video or quick short. I was quite impressed. Jules has got some skills. Okay. All right. Well, with that, then. No comments. I mean, coming from the crafter, I would have thought she would have thrown 2 cents in there. She's too busy in the chat.
No, I'm trying to get the invitation to Adventures in Wonderland for Lost Nation Radio, and I don't know what's happening. It's not posting to the YouTubes for some reason. I don't know if it's because my ad is too long. It's only going to your Facebook feed. So I gotta rewrite that, but
it is.
So if you live, work, or play in the one call area, that's Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, then I invite you to join the Adventures in Wonderland Discord server. Apparently, Lost Nation Radio heard about it from the contest dinner, so I'm sure that was probably Max N4ML that was touting that over there. So there you go. Somebody got it to post.
I did. You used too many words. It grayed out. You can see it. It tells you.
Oh, well, and then the link got messed up because you stuck my name in with the link, so that's probably not going to work now. But anyway, so we're going to get that link to Lost Nation Radio, and anyone else who lives, works, or plays in the one call area. So looking forward to meeting you over there. And maybe this is a good segue into talking about mesh.
Yeah, let's go. Why not?
So I picked up a mesh node at Hamvention, a Seed Studio SenseCap solar node to put up on my house, and I heard that everybody is switching over to mesh core in my area, so I flashed it over to mesh core. And in doing that and joining some mesh servers, although I'm still not part of the mesh because apparently there's no nodes that are close enough to me to be able to, reach out to my node. Um, I joined the Greater Boston Mesh Discord and I met another female ham radio operator, which was super exciting. Her name's Emily. Her call sign escapes me at the moment, but she's in the Adventures in Wonderland Discord because I invited her over there. And so by using Mesh, sort of has like led to also some very meaningful meetups and QSOs and making more ham radio friends, right? And like that's sort of my thing is, what I make up what I lack in technical knowledge, I make up for in like passion and enthusiasm. And I really like meeting people and I really like operating. So there was that. So and then also using Meshtastic, the Hamvention Meshtastic firmware at the show, which Grouch ever so graciously gave me this green Lily Goatee deck, which is super exciting. Miles actually loves playing with it. He thinks it's a radio, so he like sits there and pretends to talk into it. We got to get him a real radio. And so I was on the Hamvention Meshtastic firmware at my hotel, and I was just using my T1000 card, right, hooked up to my phone. And I was getting people that were on that, on the Hamvention Meshtastic firmware. They were in hotels like across the street. They were in hotels down the street. I couldn't believe that it was reaching so far. And then on Saturday night, some new people joined in and they were like, "Oh, we're staying at the Country Inn and Suites. Where are you staying?" I was like, "I am also at the Country Inn and Suites." So the next morning, Sunday morning, I ended up meeting them in the lobby and same thing, exchanging cards and, stickers and stuff. And they asked about, my multiple call signs. So I was telling them how, I'm licensed both in the US and the UK. And it was like a grandma and her grandson. And then it was like another kind of older guy and another like, sort of teenage boy. So the grandson was probably maybe around like 13 or 14 years old. And I guess he was like, "Well, I'm going to Germany this summer." And I was like, "Oh, are you going to Friedrichshafen?" And he wasn't going to Friedrichshafen, but he has a German grandma that he goes and stays with her for a time in the summer. I was like, "Well, how come you don't have a German call sign?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know enough German to be able to pass the test." And I was like, "Well, you could get a UK full license and then get a HAREC, a Harmonized Amateur Radio Exam Certificate, and you can take that to Germany and you can use that to apply for a German call sign and license, just like you had passed their test." So, if it wasn't for Meshtastic, then, I wouldn't have been able to have that, meaningful conversation with this family and, passed along the information that I know about, how he could, get a German call sign and be able to get on the air there while he's in Germany and hopefully, help him along in his ham radio journey. And he sounded interested in going to Friedrichshafen. I think it wasn't going to happen for him this year because he was going in July and Friedrichshafen is in June.
Mhm.
But his grandma had said, "Well, hey, maybe you can ask your mom or dad, whoever it was, like next year, schedule your trip during in June during Friedrichshafen." So I felt really good about that interaction and hopefully made some new ham radio friends there and made a memorable impression and was a good ambassador for amateur radio because that's what I try to be all the time is the best ambassador for amateur radio that I can be.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Now, just a little tidbit. I don't know if you've tried this with your device. You might want to look into is turning on MQTT. See, like I have these small little ones, and obviously the T1000. Both of them are on. One's on MeshCore, one's on Meshtastic. But my Meshtastic one, I really can't. There's not a whole lot in the neighborhood per se, so I just use MQTT to kind of bridge the gap and allows me to use the internet on my phone, kind of thing, to basically pass more messages, which gets me out a little bit more, which then, I found starts to add more people to the mix, because then they realize, oh, there's more people out there in the Merrimack area. So I'll put up a node and, so forth and so on. So I've seen kind of a growth through that way. That might help you there.
Yeah, so that's on Meshtastic, though. They don't have that for Mesh Core, I don't think.
No, they don't. Mesh Core is a different technology kind of, and how it handles, transmissions and stuff. But
Yeah.
MQTT is a gateway for being able to get out if you're in one of those dead zones.
Yeah, so I might do that. So right now I have the T1000 is flashed to Mesh Core as my companion node, and then my the node that's outside obviously is set to a repeater, because for those of you guys who don't know, if you're on Mesh Core, you have companions and you have repeaters, and they're two separate things. On Meshtastic, they're every device is a repeater and a companion. So, you know what? Miles was messing with this yesterday, and somehow now when I turn it on, it's on program mode. So I need to like reflash this and figure out what he did. But maybe I'll turn on MQTT on this and see what I can get. And then so another interesting thing that I learned about is so through being in this Greater Boston Mesh group, for you guys who remember that I kind of started doing this like war driving thing. So I use like don't you roll your eyes at me, Eric. So I downloaded this app on my phone. It's called the Wiggle app. And you drive around and you try to discover new Wi-Fi networks, cell phone towers, and Bluetooth devices, right? And you discover all these devices and you upload it to the WiggleNet, and they sort of use that information to, sell it to developers, I guess, kind of to like, determine what kind of devices people are using, how dense is like Wi-Fi in certain areas, and things of that nature. So I've been doing that for like maybe like a month now. I'm not sure. I just kind of found out about it. And so I also found out though there is mesh war driving. So you drive around with this program running, and it basically uses your companion device to like send out little pings and listen for little answers to try and see where there is mesh activity. And I think it's only for Mesh Core. So I went after I picked Miles up from school yesterday. I'm like, come on, buddy, we're going for a drive. So, randomly driving around Marblehead and Swampscott and Lynn, just trying to see where I could pick up different mesh activity. And so I drove over to Pine Grove Cemetery, where there's actually this huge hill with a big cliff that kind of looks out towards the south. And you can see the ocean, and you can see, all these different cities and towns. And I picked up a bunch of mesh activity when I was on top of that hill. The only thing is I tried to send out a message and my message wasn't picked up by anyone, but I'm also only using the little T1000 card, and it was like in the car. So the, signal was probably quite attenuated. But I was kind of thinking like, oh, what if I just put like a solar companion node on the roof rack of the Subaru? Then, I could hook into that, it would have a better antenna on it. And I could hook into that via Bluetooth when I'm in the car. And I would probably be able to get some better signal out.
So all you need to do is get yourself a small little 900 megahertz antenna and a mount for your rack or whatever you want to put a Subi, and then just put a small mesh, anything that you can hook an antenna up to pretty much, or that has an SMA port on it, and that'll do just fine. You don't need a solar node, because ultimately you're going to want to take it out and program it if you need to flash it or whatever. But yeah, that's what I do in my truck. I have a small little, like I said, it's not an R2, but this is like an R2 and does the same thing. The idea is that, I will eventually replace that with something a little bit more robust, but yeah, that's all you need.
Well, and I mean, so now I've gone into the rabbit hole, right, of like people building little solar mesh nodes. They like buy these $10, $15 solar lights from wherever, Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart, wherever they get them, because it has the solar panel, it has the battery, it has the charge controller, and it's already like a waterproof housing, right? They put the little card in there, whether it's like a Heltec V3 or Heltec V4, whatever it is. They drill a hole through the plastic housing to stick the antenna out of, and then they're able to like deploy these nodes sort of, like stealthily or whatever, and they're all self-contained and self-charging because they have the solar node on there. So I feel like that could be, like my gateway drug into finally actually getting my hands dirty and learning to solder a little bit more than what I already, do now, which is really not much, right? I've soldered two things in my ham career. That was a K6 ARK mini mic kit, and that was and Miles had a light up Christmas sweater for Christmas this past year that was Santa Claus in a rocket ship. And he pulled too hard on the battery box and he pulled the wires out of the battery box. So he sort of broke it, right? But luckily, Mom is sort of nerdy and has a soldering iron. So I was able to solder the wires back on. So I was pretty proud of that because I think most moms would have just thrown the thing out and been like, oh, it's broken. So Mom saved the day on the light up Christmas sweater.
Cracked out her iron. Very cool. All right. Well, I know
Well,
Mike
now Miles soldered his own little mini flashlight kit at the ARRL Youth Lounge at Hamvention. So now next time Miles can probably solder his own battery box back together.
My only gripe, and this is maybe something for a future conversation, not so much Brew Activate, but why, all of Meshtastic has the 900 megahertz band ISM that we play in, but there's also that ham option. Like, why don't we as hams just decide to flip that on and make a ham only kind of environment? Ever wonder that?
Because the thing is, people like mesh because it can be encrypted. Once you switch it to the ham mode,
I know.
you can't encrypt it anymore.
Sure. But like, what are you hiding as a ham that you need to worry about being encrypted?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not hiding anything, but
and most of the time, if you don't turn it on, obviously your channel's in free and clear anyway. So I just kind of thought it was like, oh, been cool to take advantage of the higher power, the benefit of, a ham only space that all of us as hams can all talk on. And then we don't have to deal with like the random, mesh people that are not hams that are, in the neighborhood kind of thing. But again, I get the community aspect of it. It makes sense. So I don't know. Just thought it was just kind of a wasted add-on at one time that we just never took time.
You're not the first person to mention that, because I'm pretty sure I heard somebody else talking about that too. But, I think that's the main reason, is that people like the encrypted option of it. And, I don't know. You know how some of these prepper people are.
I get it. But so, like, put it this way. Nearfest came to me after like a couple weeks ago and said, hey, we want Live Free and Ham and Brew and Activate and all those guys, all you YouTubers, to come and create a space. And so I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. I'm like, I think it'd be really cool if we could do a Nearfest only, firmware for Meshtastic. And they're like, oh, that'd be great, because then we could put nodes, in several different areas and really use it as an advantage. And then I'm like thinking, well, why don't we just create a ham only like configuration, using the ham band and get the better power and stuff like that. And that's pretty much kind of the same pushback I got. It was like, oh, well, you're not doing the community stuff. And I'm like, I get it, but this is just for a ham fest. It makes sense for a ham fest.
Yeah, but what if there are people at that ham fest that are not yet licensed? Maybe they're only ham curious.
They can still participate. Who's going to stop them on, flipping that switch? No one's going to stop them. It's like using GMRS, like the ham radio operators using GMRS bands on a ham radio. Come on. I get it. The law says this, but for the event and what they're going to do for damage is minimal in the sense.
Well, if they're not running more than a watt or whatever the power restriction is, I think it'd be a watt.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with them
playing
in that space. Yeah. I think it's just it might. I know there's power restrictions. There might be some antenna restrictions and stuff, but
Yeah, I think once you switch into the ham mode, doesn't it change the frequency? Because
Yeah,
there's
it just moves it into the space that we can operate as hams,
yeah.
but it's
well,
still you get a little.
the whole band is
Yeah.
ISM. Where hams are secondary users. It's you can play in the space like up to a watt, 902 to 928. So it's not putting. I don't think it's. I'm just learning. I just did it for the first time this week, Meshtastic. But I don't think it's going into a frequency or a band that only hams can use.
Maybe
I
it
think
warrants
it's
a
opening up
conversation.
privileges for additional power and
Yeah,
antenna usage.
has
so.
anybody clicked their heels 3 times or said Mesh Dealer Dave 3 times? I don't see him in the
Yeah.
chat. Okay.
I
Yeah.
know. I love Mesh Dealer Dave. He was the one that helped me. He flashed the Lily Go for me at Hamvention on what was it, Saturday or Sunday? I think it was Saturday because he wasn't there on Sunday. So I think he was so busy and he was just selling out.
Mhm.
And he was the one that talked me into getting that solar node because he was like, you can't build a solar node for less than $100. And you know what? He's probably pretty close to right. Because when I started looking into the prices of, the little cards and everything, they were, the little card itself is like at least $30. And then, you got to pay for shipping and everything. So that's kind of why, whose house is on fire?
My daughter's burning the house down. Hold on a second.
Oh my goodness. So, while Eric evacuates his home, we'll continue talking about mesh. So that's why I haven't ordered any cards yet because I need to decide like how many devices I actually might want to
Okay.
make and sort of, price it out and stuff. So if there's anyone in the area of, Lynn, Massachusetts, who wants to maybe get in on building some nodes, maybe we can do a little bit of a group buy. I might save on shipping. It might, they might give us a little bit of a discount. I don't even know where the best things is to buy these things. Like they sell them on AliExpress, right? But there's so many different options. Like you never really know what you're getting, right? So
Go to Seed.
buy them from Seed. Buy
That's
the
what I
cards
do.
from Seed.
I buy most of my gear if it's not on Seed. I go to what's the Low Mesh is the other one that I usually pull stuff off of, or there's usually like other case manufacturers that have the boards and everything that you're used to. But
yeah, I
sounds
think
good.
somebody had recommended Rockland. That was one of the names
That's
that
that's a chipset though.
That's one of the names that I saw thrown around when I was looking for places.
Cool. All right, well, let's shift gears real quick here. Mike, you gotta.
I was just gonna say, so I did try mesh for the first time. My buddy Jeff, who I drove out to Hamvention with, gave me an extra. I think it was like a Heltec V3 or something. So I will share after playing with this thing for the last week, my initial thoughts here, in meme format. Here's what
I'll break. No, I'll add it. Hold on a second. No, wait. I'll add it. There's another way to do it. There's a better way.
Yeah.
There's always a better way. Right.
Yeah.
Here. Go. Now you can share.
Nope. You're killing me.
Wrong.
You're killing me.
No, you're good. Remove. Go ahead, Mike. Pull it out.
I hit the spotlight. Why is it doing that?
Here, watch. Now, go ahead, share your screen.
It's not going to be funny now.
Well, it isn't now.
Joke.
What do I set these stuff up? This is the way it works. Yeah, just share your screen out, and then
share it. Like I don't. It. All right.
Okay, fine.
All right, hold on. All right, share screen. Now I gotta go. I gotta open up the
wherever it's
image,
right?
Yeah, I gotta go find it. I just made it like during the live stream. So okay, there it is.
Important stuff. Got it.
All right, I know. Now I gotta do this and window. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Hey, there we go. Yeah,
those are my thoughts. I want to make them like.
Well, you must know that, like, anytime you go to, any event like this, you got to have your battery backup. Your little rechargeable battery backup.
This is just around the house. Like, I didn't set it up till I got home. And, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is my battery like? And I got an iPhone 17 Pro Max or whatever, so it's like a newer, and it's a larger, and I was like, geez, why am I burning through? And I'm like, oh, it's got to be the Bluetooth and that. And so, yeah, I'll play with it some more and see.
Sweet.
But anyway, there's the meme. Those are my initial thoughts.
All right. I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Sorry. It's easier if we do it this way. That way everybody can see it. All right, Shannon, go ahead.
Okay, so
You're good.
this was just one thing, they had at the ARRL Youth Lounge, they had like a place where you could write on a Post-it note your tip or trick, something that you wanted older hams to know from younger hams. So this is what Miles wrote on his Post-it note. He wrote, "Sub to my mom, Shannon, KC1 OHT, please." So, thank you to Miles, my biggest #1 little fan, who is always out there telling people to sub to my mom.
Is he a lefty?
No, he's not. He's a righty.
Wow. Okay. Because when I first looked at it, I was like, who's KC1 EHT? Because it looks like an E.
He's in
being in Catholic school at a very young, early age, and being a lefty, that to me was strange as an E, not an O.
Wow. He's in first grade.
I get it.
Can you cut the kid some slack?
I can. I was just curious. I didn't if he was being verbally Englishly abused. I don't know. There's such a thing. Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. All right. Okay. Well, let's since we came here for an AMA, Mike, we got at least one or two there, right? Want to go ahead and pop one of those questions?
Yeah, there's one, but it's a two-part.
Okay. Oh.
So Kyle asks, what are your go-to POTA antennas and loggers? So, how much time do we have?
Well, I do want to get down to eventually to meet Tortoise sometime before rush hour. So, and we're not on. This is not like a 3-hour Grouch stream. So
yeah,
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll keep it simple, like real quick. It's almost always in my car. Is the Wolf River Coils 17-foot enhanced whip. Like that's a go-to antenna, that on a mag mount. You got an antenna that's multi-band, resonant, easy to deploy. So whether I'm using 7300 or 705, if I don't have a tuner, no issues. And quarter wave is an awesome antenna for POTA, and omnidirectional, good takeoff angle, all that good stuff. And I've been using Ham 2K or Polo for like over a year or so, and so that's my go-to. The telescopic whips, and I picked up the 34.5 foot one from Alpha that I got to play with this weekend. But I like those a lot.
Shannon, what do you got?
Yeah, so if you'd like to show my screen share there, my newest POTA logger, which maybe I'll use it today. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, so you guys know I like to keep it old school. And I never do digital logging in the field. So this is my newest POTA logger. It is a 1958 Smith Corona Sterling typewriter, portable typewriter. I got it on Facebook Marketplace just before Hamvention. Still with its original key, original hang tag. The thing is in like pristine condition. I just had to, clean it up a little bit with some mineral spirits. It only weighs about 50 pounds, maybe. I don't know. That could
50.
be exaggerated.
Probably a little bit more. That's a lot of metal there.
No, it's meant to be a portable typewriter, right? So it's not like that heavy, but it probably weighs more than my 100 amp hour LifePo battery. But yeah, so all kidding aside, I like to paper log in the field. So I have my paper ARRL logbook that I use with pen and paper. But I am gonna do, possibly do a video and give it a try using a typewriter to log at least one POTA. I really wanted like a World War II
I
military
would die
green.
watching that one.
I really wanted like a World War II military green, field
Paint
typewriter,
that.
but trying to find an authentic military green field typewriter. Once you have like military in there, it just automatically the price goes through the roof, right? So this was like sort of the closest that I could get. It was in very good condition and the price was right. So very, very cool with that. And
So
my go-to antenna usually lately has been like my Wolf River coil with the 17-foot whip on top of it. And you guys know, like I don't even like to use 20 meters, right? I want to be on 17, 15, 12, or 10 meters. So that's pretty much, where I want to be in terms of the bands. But, I know I'm leaving out the local people, right? And I still need a confirmed voice contact from Vermont for my worked all states, just even on QRZ. So I should probably try to get on 40 meters for a POTA at least once, right? And use my Nano VNA and the Wolf River coil to its fullest ability and get on to 40 meters.
So
And
two things with this one. Yes, the weight is one thing. I'd give that grouch. But the second thing is, can you antenna with that? Like, can you physically wire that thing up and transmit?
well,
With
so
a G90, yeah.
Exactly.
one of my actual dreams, and hello to Mike Smith who's in the chat, my very bestest ham radio friend, and he knows that this is one of my ham radio dreams, is to have an actual old school RIDI machine that sends and receives
God, you know how big
RIDI
those things
via
are.
RF with the mechanical keys and paper and everything else. So that is one of my like crazy ham radio dreams of things that I have always wanted. I love things that are mechanical. What can I say?
No arguments there for me. But I first and foremost, there's two things I'd say for you. One, this is a golden opportunity for content when April Fools rolls around, because we know K6ARA did his, Commodore 64 out in, the soda world, and there's a few others that he's done, computer, vintage computer stuff. So that'd be cool. And yeah, you need to do a live stream, or we need to schedule a live stream ASAP where you're actually logging with that, because I want to see that happen. Sorry, here, 5'9" here as I'm typing it in my. Oh, she's got a backspace. Hold on, she's got to get the white out. She's got to. What was that call again? Hold on a sec. See how long the activation goes.
Yeah, so and it's like it's really cool, right? Because I opened up the back and I learned like how the tab actually works with it, and they have these literal little stoppers that every time you hit tab, it moves over. So I need to set up my custom logging paper for the typewriter so I can have all my little columns. So, I type in the call and then I hit tab, and then I type in, the signal report and hit tab, and the time. So I'm very excited to figure out my old school, kicking it back to field day 1958 with the typewriter logger.
We're definitely going to have to go to a place in the park that you can't disturb anybody else, because they're going to be little old ladies and people sitting on park benches taking in nature, and going to the park ranger going, "Can you have that lady over there stop making that noise?"
Listen, but calling CQ is not disruptive. So if anything,
I'm not talking about the radio part. I'm talking about the typewriter part.
Listen, so what's the difference though? But here's the thing, is that it will probably attract more attention over, right?
Oh, yes, it will.
People will be more curious and they'll want to know. And you know what? It'll probably make them laugh, right? It'll put a smile on their face. Maybe it'll bring back some memories like, oh my gosh, my first job was working in a typing pool in 1964. And, Like I don't know, like for me to bring other people joy brings me joy. So, I think it'll be fun and funny, and I think it will make a good video. I don't think I can wait until April Fool's next year. That's just way too long. I do
Oh, come on.
I do want to do the typewriter thing somewhat soon, like before I go to England, possibly, because we already made jokes, right? Like I can't bring that to England. It just weighs too much. So unless my dear friend Mike can source me a typewriter over there that we could use for a logging operation in the field, it's gonna have to be either before or after.
You got 1 month
Yeah.
because June 23rd is National Typewriter Day.
No
I just
way.
looked.
No, Mike, listen to
June
me.
23rd.
June 23rd is literally the day that I arrive in England. We are flying out on
Oh
June
my
20th.
gosh.
Oh, you got to be so jet lagged.
We're flying out on June 22nd at like 11 o'clock at night here in Boston, and we're supposed to arrive in Heathrow Airport at like 10:40 in the morning on Tuesday. I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but on June 23rd at 10:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
So no.
Hey, Shannon, and Grouch has got a T-shirt idea working here.
Clack, 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 ding. Yeah, that ding when you get to the end is like so satisfying. And then the return carriage. Oh my gosh. I love typewriters so much. I love that clack, clack, clack. It's like very, it's very ASMR, right? It's like the ASMR of Morse code. Like Morse code is very ASMR-ish to me. Typewriters are very ASMR. I don't know what it is. Something about like my thoughts flow so freely when I'm typing. That's one reason, right? Everybody makes fun of me on the Northeast Ham radio that I have a mechanical keyboard and everybody hears my click, click, click through the microphone. But it's the same thing. It's satisfying. It's like, oh, it's just such a good noise. It scratches itches in my brain that I didn't even know that I had.
I'll just let that sit there for a second.
So, and I'm gonna look something up here for 1 second that I was actually just talking about.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'll answer the question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Eric, what about you? What's
Thank you,
your
Mike.
go-to antenna?
Go-to antenna, I'd have to say, is usually my Mad Dog Coil 80. With depending on the day and the wind, I can sometimes center load, which actually does really, really well.
Okay.
And so I enjoy doing that. And then, from a standpoint of logging, it's probably either my phone or my iPad with Polo on it. Pretty straightforward. I think that's been just the go-to all the time. I obviously have like all of the typical wire Reliance antennas in the back of the saddlebags in the truck. So I can always go to that if I want to. But, if I forget said bag antenna of my, vertical, then those are the usual backups.
Nice.
So that's a quick, short, easy answer. So thank you again for submitting that question. Appreciate that. Oh, another one, share.
So that actually made me think of something that I wanted to mention on the show for events that are coming up. And this Brew and Activate thing that comes up.
Yeah, I don't like where's
the
it? Like I was about that.
It's very, very interesting.
It's annoying,
Um,
actually.
so yeah, I just found out this morning actually from this woman. Are you bringing up the screen
I
share?
am getting there.
Okay, I'm
I
looking,
know.
I'm waiting. So I'm part of this Facebook group called Ham Radio Women. It's an amazing group with a lot of amazing ham radio women in there. And one of them who I just recently met, her name is Tessa Kane, and she wrote an article for Radcom about women in amateur radio. So if you're a member of the RSGB, if you get your Radcom, make sure you check that out. Look for that article. I haven't gotten my June issue yet because they sort of come like a month behind because obviously it has to come from overseas. But you can get it digitally on the RSGB app. So definitely be looking for that. But she just recently posted about this event called International Museums Weekend. And I had never heard of it, but apparently it's the 25th anniversary. So it must be something that has been going on for a long time. But now she's in the UK. So it's something that's bigger in the UK than it is here. But so I talked to her before about a different event that she ran called Mills on the Air. And I had also never heard of that, right?
I have. Yep.
Um, so we have tons of mills around here, right? And we have like Lowell Mills, which is like, a fabric cotton kind of mill, but it also includes grain mills and stuff. So she was saying like, oh, you should try to do Mills on the Air here in the US. But I only found out about it like the weekend of. So it was a little too late for me to make plans and do it. But, I would encourage anyone to maybe reach out to a local museum and see if you can get involved with this International Museums Weekends. 1 month to go. It's the 25th anniversary event and it's in June. So it's June 20th and 21st, and then it's the 27th and the 28th. So the 27th and the 28th, we're going to be at the Tank Museum down there in Bovington, Southern England. So we probably won't be able to play radios those days, but the 20th and the 21st, I might be able to go out. That's the weekend before we leave. So we might be kind of busy, crazy, running around trying to get ready. But I would love to actually get in touch with the people from the American Heritage Museum down in Hudson, Mass, and see if I could do a little activation there. It's an amazing museum for anyone who has never been there.
Let me throw this to you because I have a lot of museum contacts in my IT professional side of things. So first thing, the 27th is field day weekend, so that's probably going to be a challenge amongst all of the people doing field day in June.
For people in the US. But they could possibly
They could
hunt some museum stations.
But the 20th, if you're interested, let me know. We can put something together because the Charles River Museum, you familiar with them in Waltham?
No.
Waltham Watch Factory. They actually have a ham radio display that they've had forever because the curator, directors, family members, also a ham, and they've got Waltham's famous call sign that was, long story short, if you're interested, let me know. We can hook something up and maybe do, from that museum down there. And that's a nice museum to do it from.
Yeah, so let's try to make plans on that. So it does say if you want to participate, you need to register your museum. If you don't register, then your museum won't count towards anyone's awards. So make sure that you register your museum, and it can be anything, right? It's saying from radio to rock, trains to traction engines, chocolate to chips, spuds to spam, cars to caravans, graffiti to gears. There are museums for anyone, right? So it doesn't have to be technology related, ham radio related. It could be anything. And I could see this potentially blowing up, right? Like maybe not this year, but imagine next year if we wanted to get together with something like the Science Museum in Boston, or if we wanted to try to get together with the Children's Museum, right? Let's get some kids on the air. Let's get some science stuff on the air. I think, we have so many great resources here in the Boston area with MIT and the different colleges and the different clubs. Let's try to get the word out there and get more people to know about these really great events that, not only brings more awareness to ham radio, but also would bring more awareness to their own museum, right? And, let more people kind of know about their museum. There's, yes, those two museums are kind of bigger museums, but maybe smaller, more obscure museums like this Charles River Museum that I personally never heard of, or there's just so many different museums that there's not enough time. I mean, you could do, even like Orchard House, which I'm sure is a museum for Louisa May Alcott, or what is it? The Rebecca Nurse Homestead, which is like a museum on, sort of the Salem witch trials and life in, the, mid to late 1600s here in Massachusetts. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there, opportunities for really good custom QSL cards.
Speaking of like mechanical stuff, you're not familiar with the Waltham Watch Factory?
No.
Oh, you got to go, girl, because that's like the de facto standard in terms of quality, like, timepiece watch stuff. And that kind of came out of Waltham, which also came out of the same guy who made, or who's very famous for the Lowell mills, like basically developing the whole industrial kind of mill process. He started that in Waltham. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Check it out. It's called the Charles River Museum of Innovation and Industry. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, we'll talk more about that. Sounds like fun. All right, well, let's put this, since we're already on the roll here. Mike, you want to throw in anything at all, or?
No, I think there was an earlier question about kind of like what the elevator pitch was for tiles, and I know you wanted to touch on real quick at the end about what's coming up with Memorial Day and tiles. So
yeah, definitely.
there you
Well, we
go.
can kind of segue there, and sounds good. So yeah, we also mentioned obviously in the description in the title today is that Honor and Activate. So the Tiles program over at tilesontheair.com, they are trying to bring awareness to obviously Tiles, but or the Tiles program, and also honor our service members, both active and veterans themselves. So what they are doing is a program called Honor and Activate. And so it's this weekend, starts on Saturday. Let me go over to the little kind of thing I got over here, so I'll give you guys a feed. There we go. Slideshow. Is this it? I mean, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. That's the full individual. Okay, so let's go. Screen share. There we go. No, why did that change? Sorry, I'm not even queued up right. Maybe it was here. Yep, there we go. There's my slide. Thank you. The wrong window. All right, let's get rid of Shannon here. Okay, it's called Honor and Activate. And so what they're doing, starting on Saturday, Zulu time 00, all the way through Memorial Day, ending UTC, they're doing a thing called Honor and Activate. And all you have to do is, if you're going out to activate anytime, during the weekend, whether you're doing POTA, soda, whatever, you can now pile on top of this Honor and Activate option. And so if you haven't called Tiles before, and so let me kind of set the framework here a little bit. If you've never seen the Tiles program, this is the first you're hearing of it, go check out tilesontheair.com. Great write-up, great resource up there to get going. But bottom line, same thing like everything we do with POTA, we do in soda, and now, where you'd have to go to a park. Let's focus on POTA. You'd go to a POTA park in order to be able to activate a park in the POTA database. Well, a lot of the concerns and a lot of feedback that we've heard and I've been a part of is that people are like, I can't activate a park that's 2.5 hours away. And they always end up feeling like they're kind of left out because the local parks that they have in their area are very convenient for them, but they couldn't, obviously put them into the parks database because they're a local park versus a national or a municipal park. So now Tiles comes on the scene here, and Tiles helps solve part of that problem. Everybody does grid squares. Everybody knows grid squares. We hunt grid squares. We're in the VHF, UHF community. We hunt it, for paper chasing. Now we've got a program that you can bolt on top of what you're already doing with POTA and soda, a thing called Tiles on the Air. And Tiles on the Air, we had the developer on a couple of weeks ago. So my suggestion is go check out that video for more description. So you can now head out to the back of your deck. You can go down the street to the local park. You can go pretty much anywhere there's a grid square, which is pretty much everywhere, and activate that. And all you have to do is just set up your gear like you normally would, set up your logger the way you normally would, and call CQ Tiles. I did it on a lunchtime live stream a couple of days ago, and did it at a local park that I love hanging out for what it's worth, it was a fun time, and definitely, it brought me back to the days of when POTA was so new that when you called CQ POTA, people were like, what are you talking about? Like, what's POTA? And so you get a lot of those kind of questions. So with that, he's doing an Honor and Activate event. So you can call CQ Tiles from anywhere, and mobile, VHF, UHF, HF, the whole 9 yards. Check out all of the supported options. And then all you do is basically honor, your fellow service men and women, both active and veterans. And you can submit your log for whether you did a POTA or you did it out in your backyard or at a beach or whatever. to the database as an activation, and then provide a photo and a quick little thank you write up, and it'll be featured on his Memorial Day page. So if you head over to Tiles on the Air, let's go see here. I didn't actually copy the link here. It's called Memorial Day. And you head over there. All the details are there, and more of the process of how you submit, how do you get your self spotted, get involved in the Tiles program. It's really fun. I think it's pretty rewarding, at least for me, because now my scope of activations, has now quadrupled in terms of where I can activate, who I can how I can activate, and so forth and so on. So fun little program. Get involved. Good way to be able, recognize those that have served and are serving, and have fun with it.
And as Paul pointed out, Memorial Day is for those who have died. Oops, I think we just each tried.
Yeah,
to
we double
do
clicked.
it.
We did it again.
Yep.
So Memorial Day is for those who
Yep.
have died in the line of service for their country. So just keep that in mind. And how awesome would it be? Like, I know there's a lot of like sort of local city parks that a lot of times they're named for people who were killed in the line of service for their country. So and they may not be POTA parks, right? Because they're only city parks, but so imagine how great it would be to be able to find out a little bit about that person that the park is named for, and go out and activate their park in their honor, and be able to kind of spread their story and their life and their legacy a little bit. I think that would be a great thing to do for Honor and Activate Memorial Day weekend.
Yep, I agree. So very cool. Outside of that, we have, I think, one more question, right, Mike?
I think
Or did
Chris
we hit it
had commented, asked if I was aware of the Mesh-tastic device. It's like a backup battery for the phone. And yeah, I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
I'm
seen
not. Tell us a little bit more about it, because that sounds like something that would be real handy. If your Mesh-tastic device can also be a backup battery for your phone, then that's great.
It's from, why am I forgetting? I just know the company. Hold on a sec, I had it. Because I was looking at it this morning.
Yeah, I don't know who makes it. I remember I've seen it. Stuff
It's
like I'm still new to a lot of the mesh stuff and whatnot, but that's definitely on the list of things to check out.
Yeah, it is. I need to find what it was. Dang it. I had her in my list. Let's see.
Well, if anyone knows anything
Yeah.
about this mesh
here we go.
device that is a battery backup for your phone.
Yep, it's called ThinkNode M4. It's a power bank and a LoRa device, which I can bring up a link here. If I
Yeah, we should maybe share your screen or bring up a link or something like
Yeah,
that. Let's check it out.
Let me go chit chat while I pull it up.
Yeah. So let's see. What else do we have that we could possibly talk about here? Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. I think I'm
You
talking.
well,
guys are both helpful.
we can start to wrap it
Yeah.
up too. Like talk about what you do. Have any ham radio plans this weekend?
So I don't have any solid plans, but like I said, I just said to Miles, do you want to go out and do a POTA after I finish Brew and Activate? So I think we will probably get out there and do something. I don't know what. Maybe we'll do something for the, try to find somewhere for the Memorial Day and Activate. Remember and Activate. What is it called, Eric?
Honor and Activate.
Honor and Activate. That's it. So maybe we'll find something to do for the Honor and Activate. One thing that I actually have been dying to do is oh gosh, what is it called? It's a submarine park. There's some kind of submarine in a park in New Hampshire. What is it called? I can't remember.
You talking about the albacore?
Yes.
No. Oh,
yes.
that's in Maine.
Oh, it's
Or
in
no.
Maine?
Well, it's on the ports.
Hampshire, I
It's a.
think.
You might be right. I thought it's right on the border of Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
Albacore Park is actually a park that I've been meaning to activate for a while. Somebody told me about that last year on the PokeNet, and I had never heard of it. So who knows if that might be one that we go check out. They might be kind of busy, obviously this weekend. Maybe not so bad today, because I'm kind of surprised that Mike, you said your kids don't have school today either. Like Miles doesn't have school. I think a lot of people do have
Yeah.
school today. So, maybe go out and do something with that, or, just drive around and see what we find. Maybe go for a little rove.
Yeah, for sure.
So Grouch is saying to pull up Mesh Pocket.
Yep,
So
that's another one.
That's what I was thinking about, which is the wireless charging. Looks like it's, I don't know, MagSafe, but you can kind of.
Yeah, this does basically the same
back
thing.
to the
Has
phone.
battery bank, does MagSafe, has all the cables and whatever. So that was one of them I was thinking the M4.
Cool.
But
Lots of neat options.
there's a lot of rabbit hole options for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will be out tomorrow morning. My youngest has soccer practice in US 6532, so I will be on sometime tomorrow morning. I don't know when it is. At like
The real question
11 or
is
12.
when you work Mike, make sure you say, hey, what are the two teams playing, and see if he can answer the names.
Yeah, it's just practice tomorrow, but
got off
yeah,
easy.
but I will take advantage and we'll be doing a POTA from the car while they're practicing. So yeah.
That's how you know you're a real ham radio operator, is when you can figure out how to fit in your kids' sports events into your ham activities.
Yeah.
Well, tiles on the air activation from field side, right?
Yep. Only need one contact to be able to make a grid square. So, all right, cool. Well, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us today. It was fun. Thank you again for all of the questions that were submitted, and thank you for everybody, obviously, that are new members. I'll be reaching out to you to say hello, as well as those that helped with the super chats. We thank you guys and all of the folks that have been part of the channel here. And with that, any last minute things you want to throw out there, Mike? Any places you're going to be, or anything you want to bring your attention outside of your activation?
No, that's
You're
about it. Yeah, I'll be on the air for sure tomorrow morning. That'll be at least the one POTA this week that I get in. But then I just got a lot I got to do around the house, and then I do have some new toys from Hamvention to start playing with and testing out. So looking forward to that.
Put the podcast on, mow a lot of lawn, as they say.
Yes. Yep.
All right, Shannon, how about you? You're obviously activating today, hopefully. Any ETA?
No, not really.
Whenever.
Just a nice relaxing day. Heading out to whatever park we decide to head out to.
Cool. All right. Well, I will be out, so keep an eye on him.
I know you're going to have quite a drive ahead of you, I think.
It's going to be a fast one, I'm sure. Because it's already 11:30 here, and it's going to take about an hour and a half to get down to lovely Rehoboth. So
yeah,
all good there. But going to have some fun. Going to hang out with Tortoise, so him and I will be on the air. So make sure you pick us up. Yeah, with that, as always, then thanks again for hanging out with us today. So as we always like to say, remember, whether you're activating or hunting, the goal is simple: have fun, stay safe, and keep exploring. Until next time, keep your radios on, the push to talk down. How about that one?
Now you switched it up.
Because you do it every week.
Oh my